I've owned the Tesla for about a year now, a little over a year, and this week we are having the coldest temperatures that we've had in years. And right now, the regen, after driving probably over 10 miles, we're finally starting to get some regen braking. We started this drive at, I think, over 80% battery, but I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator now, and okay, there, we're finally getting some regen on that bar there. I don't like that the symbol goes away when you have limited regen. I've had to use the brake pedal many times on this drive, which was rare, but I guess it's because I didn't condition the battery. Now, I wonder whether it would be more efficient to condition the battery with power before we depart, and then drive so I get regen along the way instead of using a brake pedal. I don't know. I'm not sure that, you know, the brake pedal usage would cost more than the regen would. I don't know what it's doing to warm up the battery or how it's warming it up, but it's cool the way Tesla gives you these suggestions about what you could do to be more efficient, and also lets you know where you're wasting energy. So it's saying that the method at which I'm driving has consumed, you know, more than necessary. Same with the climate control, and there's not a single aspect right now that's giving me green down there that's saying I'm doing a better job than they would expect in order to get rated, you know, the rated you know, kilowatt hour or watt hours per mile. In the summertime we do get, you know, way more than rated, but in the winter this is when it just consumes so much more than the rated, and we just basically do worse. So you see that we've got almost all orange. A couple of points where we're doing a little bit better than rated, and those are probably scenarios where we're coming to a stop or getting off an off ramp, and it's able to do some regen. So I have not gotten off an off ramp since this drive started. So I'm going to zoom in and change this since last charge to current drive. So let's do current drive. It's been a pretty short drive, and I guess I started this drive going downhill a little bit, and that's where the green is. But other than that, it's been 100%, you know, more than the rated consumption, which I don't know. I guess it would be that curved line there, and we'll see that maybe when I get off the highway coming up here, we could, you know, do better than rated to get it to show up on the chart. But it's still, you know, it's interesting. It only says 2.6% more than the estimated or rated vehicle consumption. You know, it looks like a lot more than that to me, but what do I know? It's just, you know, what it says on there. I feel like right now it's probably consuming about twice as much as I would expect it to do. I don't know if that's 2.8% of the entire battery. I guess maybe that would be reasonable, but even so, I feel like it's more than that. But we're coming up on the off ramp, coming up here, and maybe I'll get to get some regen. And that regen over here, when I first started this drive this morning with no conditioning before driving, it would not show any green when I was letting up on the brake pedal. And we have it set up for one pedal driving in hold mode right now. So yeah, normally we get a lot of that regen, you know, none of that creep mode where accelerator, but it looks to me like I'm not getting any hard regen here, so I don't know that it's going to be enough. I mean, here I'm actually accelerating a little bit at the off ramp, so I'm not expecting to get that over there to pop up. We'll get a little bit of a dip. So here, that's as much of a hard deceleration, and it was able to stop itself for me. It was probably one of the first times on this entire drive where it's 13.5%. So it's just a example of how electric vehicles in the cold are just not going to be as efficient as the rated. Is it better than an internal combustion vehicle? Probably. Would I recommend it if you had cold temperatures like this all the time? Probably not. I see that people in Canada are very happy with their EVs. Maybe their electric rates are cheaper, or maybe I just don't know if it's more efficient. I don't know, but still do love it. It's very comfortable to drive. The heated seats are very warm, so it's definitely the vehicle. Any chance I have to drive this over one of our internal combustion vehicles, this is the one I'm choosing. We don't have brand new luxury internal combustion vehicles, and yeah, granted ours are pretty old and beat up, but there's no doubt that I'm always going to this vehicle, even in cold weather like this, even though maybe the internal combustion vehicles would be just as good. If we're consuming twice as much power, I don't know, the numbers don't look like that, but it kind of feels like it, because I think yesterday we started at like 100% on this drive to drop the kids off in the morning, and I came home with 91%. This drive, I think we started off with 82%, and I haven't turned off the climate control or the heated seats or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I probably even have the heated seats on in the back. It's another thing I don't like about the older Tesla. I mean, almost everything I prefer about it, like having the stalks and everything like this. But here, the rear, okay, so it did, I guess, figure out that it should shut off those seat heaters. I had turned them on when the kids were in the car. I guess it did figure that out, but I was expecting them to still be on. I'm still learning everything here, but I can turn off the climate control now. I'm almost home. I wish that there was an off button for the climate control. You have to like hold your finger over the number in order to shut the climate control off. It took me a long time to figure that out. Some people online who knew the car better, offered that up as a suggestion as to how to shut it off. It is simple, but when the car is moving or you're hitting bumps or something like that, it can be difficult to, at the right time, hold your finger in the right spot over the numbers to shut the climate control off. And as a result, I end up consuming more power. But yeah, this is interesting. So this park assist degraded, that is part of that regen. Oh no, and I don't know if that's because of the cameras, but it basically, like, I have to be prepared to hit the brake pedal, which I don't normally need to ever do while I'm driving. I love the one-footed driving, and I'm joking around now, but like, oh, I need to pick my foot up off the accelerator and hit the brake pedal. Oh my God. It really can make you lazy. So with our kids that are learning to drive, we intentionally don't let them drive the Tesla, because I think it could lead to bad habits for a standard vehicle where you're never going to stop if you don't hit the brake pedal. So we don't want that habit to become normal. But finally home now, and you can see that it looks like this drive, because I didn't shut the climate control off, took like 17% of the battery. So yeah, there's that. Now we have the LFP battery where the voltage is very flat in the middle, so it may not be very good at getting the actual percentage of the battery. So who knows what's really going on here. These are all just guesses that the battery management system is doing here. And the vehicle being over a year old, we started with 272 miles of range, and I just charged up yesterday morning to 100%, and it was 264. I'd noticed that, at least in the summertime, before it would knock down a mile or a percent, we would get many miles. So even though it says it's rated at 264, I think it was getting more. But in this cold weather, we would get nowhere near that. So 264 is probably a lot more than we would expect. So it's interesting how the range degrades and the climate and everything affects everything. But I'm hoping that we haven't lost a full 8 miles of range on perfect sunny days in the summer. But only time will tell how the battery does. But I think with these LFP batteries that are basically no longer available in the United States, at least not with the discounts, then the federal mandates, I think we're going to get rid of them altogether with Trump now. But I think that the LFP batteries, with the current incentives, are not being used because it's cheaper for people to buy a more expensive battery that has more density, that's not the LFP, and then able to get an incentive from the government, like $7,500, maybe some money from their state to it's cheaper to buy a long range vehicle than it is to buy the LFP. So I think that they may have actually stopped making the LFP Model 3s. They may come back to that because maybe the 25% or whatever the tariff is going to be on Chinese made batteries might be less than the incentive. So maybe they will come back to making LFP batteries again. This model that we got, we bought it for like $37,000, and then there was $7,500 available from the federal government, and then $2,500 from our state. So effectively, we were able to buy this thing for like $27,000. Brand new Tesla EV for $27,000 was like, seemed like a smoking deal to me. And granted, there is tax we have to pay on the $2,500, but still, it's close to the $10,000 off. So we're really happy with this car, and just looking to kind of share some of the experiences that we're getting. I really have questions about this over here, the way the regen shows up. But when the car is ice cold, and we got in to drive at 7:30 this morning, we weren't getting any green for any regen, and I was having to actually move my foot and hit the brake, despite the fact that we have the dynamics set to hold. So you can see I have to put it in park to be able to change, but the hold will, look, it was even set to apply the brakes for me when regen brake is limited. I may want to switch that off so I get a feel for how much regen I'm actually getting. I didn't even realize I had that on. So I'm going to shut that off. And now I'm going to get this symbol. That's why I wasn't getting the symbol. But you can see that I'm guessing that symbol is showing me how much of my standard regen braking is available. When I started my drive, I probably had 0. And then it was, I guess that gray bar that we were seeing was actually the standard brakes that it was applying for me. And the reason that the brake pedal was so hard was because it was already applying the brakes for me when I was going to hit the brake pedal. I'll be interested to see what it feels like now with this when I'm in the cold. Now this is only under my profile and it's not under my wife's profile. So let me see if I switch over to her profile. I want to make sure that it is applying the brakes for her. But check it out. Her profile does not have that. I want it to apply the brakes for her. Yeah, that steering light. Yeah, chill, hold. Okay, good. So yeah, I want to definitely have that in her profile. Now I'm going to go back to my profile and see. Okay, it shut off for me. So that was actually probably a real mistake that it didn't have that regen braking in her profile. She was certainly having to hit the brakes a lot in this cold weather that we're having. And here I can see I've got the symbol. She probably had the symbol and I didn't. So that was kind of flip-flopped as to how we wanted to have that done. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched all this, I hope that you're able to learn a little bit from it. I'm still learning the vehicle after a year. So this, I guess, was mostly about regenerative braking and poor driving performance in the cold.